The topic of the next report is features of visual internet communications of Siberian University with the audience of Chinese students. Anastasia Shunkina is the fourth year student of our Department of Social Communication at Tomsk State University, and she is going to present her research and the results of the research which will be actually applied and are being applied right now in communications of our universities with international audiences. Please.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, dear colleagues, students and participants of this conference. Today I'd like to tell you about visual internet communication of Siberian universities with foreign audiences, the Chinese in this particular case. New media communications interfere different spheres of our life, including education. The internet coverage is necessary for high status universities to attract foreign students. So, one of the most active society in the international educational space is the Chinese society. A great number of Chinese young people want to study abroad, and we should mention that the Chinese are active internet users. For example, the number of internet users in China is about a quarter of all internet use in the world. And taking into consideration the geographic proximity of Russia and China, it is necessary to mention that Russian educational institutions are extremely interested in attracting students from China. This makes important that development of electronic communications of the Russian universities with Chinese target audiences. This issue is of a great current interest for Siberian educational institutions, including Tomsk universities and the universities of Tomsk, Krasnoyarsk, Novosibirsk, Irkutsk make the effort to attract foreign students, competing mostly in new media space. The internet is the most relevant youth-oriented media channel. Young people can find information about universities in different information sources. For example, social networks, blogs, internet directions, and etc. But eventually, they all visit the official sites of the university in order to get up-to-date and reliable information. It is clear that the first impression creates further attitude of the target audience to the university. The first impression depends on many aspects. For example, an attractive website design, good navigation, information actuality and accessibility, and much more. However, taking into consideration only the site assessments criteria universal for different cultures, we can leave out cultural peculiarities of the target audience we have, the Chinese in this particular case. Very often, the content of the site is translated into English without any variants. The English version can certainly facilitate the communication with the foreign audiences, but it should be represented in a proper way in order to shape the right perception about the university, its image and brand. It is necessary for electronic communications practitioners to study the theoretical aspects of the cross-cultural communication process. They have to find the best possible form and content of the site electronic messages to make it a tool of the university's image communications with the foreign audiences. Websites as a means of electronic communication represents a text or hypertext which combines two different ways of communication, verbal and non-verbal. In Russian linguistics, such texts were called creolized texts by Russian philological scientists Yuri Sorokin and Evgeny Tarasov. A website is a creolized text consists of verbal, for example, headings and texts, and non-verbal elements, photographs, graphic design elements, infographics, and etc. At the same time, large amount of information on the internet make us single out visual symbols, non-verbal elements, as the most capacious and economical from the point of view of meaning delivery. The review of the websites of the best universities around the world demonstrates the shift in emphasis to non-verbal messages in electronic communication. However, most of the Russian universities' websites are overloaded with text, and non-verbal elements serve as collateral or secondary messages. As can be seen from the above, the problem of underestimation of specific features of effective electronic communication with foreign audiences by the Russian universities can be specified as a problem of the realized text quality of their official sites. To solve this problem, it is necessary to pay more attention to the non-verbal content. It is color, photographs, stylistic material, etc. Of the site. Understand the peculiarities of perception and visual information interpretation by the representatives of different culture, and see the differences in culture meanings or codes connected with the notions university and university training. And so the first step to the solution of the above mentioned problem was a survey conducted among the students from China. It was based on the material of non-verbal content of the largest Tomsk university's websites, and 52 representatives of the Chinese culture, students who study at the Russian, Chinese, and Taiwan universities and Chinese schools, took part in the research. The questionnaire developed for the survey contained 3 main sections. The first section of the questionnaire included question concerning the role of the university websites as a source of information about the university. The survey has shown that the information presented on the university sites influence the Chinese students' and applicants' choice of education institutions. However, some of the students say that they didn't have a chance to choose the education institutions where they study because it was determined by the state. In the second section of the questionnaire were presented the statements connected with dimensions typical for Chinese culture developed by Gerd Hofstede. The statements were based on the description of university projected values and presented the ways of behavior of the university teacher, student or management staff in different situations. The scales with items agree, neutral or disagree was involved in the research. The second section of the questionnaire also included open-ended questions that gave the opportunity to describe what universities the respondents wanted to study at and what they liked about the educational institutions where they studied. This section of the questionnaire was used to find out the Chinese students' basic educational values in order to make appropriate recommendations for creating non-verbal content on the university sites oriented at the Chinese audience. The responses to the questions of the second section has shown that most of the respondents consider that a university lecture must have considerable life experience. Because China is a country with a high power distance index. However, this country has low uncertainty avoidance index. That is why the Chinese students are inclined to be strongly motivated for achievement, which is confirmed by the results of the survey, where the respondents said that students must make their effort to get high marks. Collectivism is commonly found in the Chinese culture, which is confirmed by the students' agreement with the statement that a group of students must make mutual decisions related to their studies. And it is interesting that for Chinese students and applicants, sex of their teachers or lectures is not important. and masculinity in educational sphere isn't a valuable criterion for the Chinese. This may be connected with the communist past of the country because a great number of female teachers appeared at those times. Among the responses to the question about the university where the Chinese would like to study were many answers, and you could see only some of them on the slide. For example, I'd like to study at the university with a wonderful environment and good teachers. Another question was to describe what the students like about the university where they study. There also were many responses, and for example, good teachers, free atmosphere, different events, and good chance of practical and employment. The analysis of the second section responses helped us review the basic educational values of the Chinese students. It is: the first, the academic atmosphere must be free and friendly. The second, the lectures must possess good knowledge and considerable life experience. The university life must be interesting and full of events. The teaching staff of the university must be team-minded. There must be a climate of confidence between them. And the last, university students must show initiative in the educational process and do his or her best to succeed in studies, science, sports, and etc. The third section of the questionnaire included some photographs presented on the analyzed university websites. The respondents were asked to choose the most attractive photo, and the first, it was necessary to find out what message should be coded in the university site's image to ensure its correct interpretation by Chinese students and applicants, and understand what elements can create the image of an ideal university for them. The photographs were supplied with the comments to ensure the right understanding in situation represented as the picture. And the photographs chosen by more than 30% of the respondents were interpreted like successful. And so, among the photographs depicting students, it is important to show different events organized at the university and student scientific and creative activity. What about the photograph depicting students' group? It is effective to post photograph depicting student teamwork, for example, their communication, helping each other, and etc. Equally popular was the photograph depicting the students' groups of different nationalities and representatives of the same culture. And we can say that posting photographs of Asian students is beneficial but not compulsory. The research also has shown that information about the teacher is very important. First, it is necessary to post the photographs where the teacher is engaged in his professional activity. For example, pictures showing teacher lectures in casual style will be very popular. About half of respondents gave preference to photograph depicting teachers in mature age. The students questioned put special emphasis on the photograph depicting teachers in the non-academic environment, for example, playing the violin, dancing, or engaged in sports activities. A great number of respondents paid attention to the photographs where a teacher was receiving an award. All of this content is important to put it on university websites. China is a country with high power distance index. The Chinese respect seniority and authority. It is necessary to pay attention to the site content devoted to the management staff of the university. Posting photographs of the management staff, it is important to avoid pictures showing emotions and activities, because most respondents choose the picture where dean or rector was official. Among the photographs showing the university or objects connected with the university without people. The most popular pictures were those of the university in winter and summer. Beautiful picture of the university can also be attractive for Chinese students. It is tested to show supportive educational environment. For example, comfortable lecture halls, high-tech equipment, dormitories, canteens, attractive surroundings, and etc. The photograph of a square near the university was very popular with the Chinese students. In general, working on the photographic content of the site, it is worth paying more attention to live images showing emotions or activities. It is necessary to avoid static photographs showing lectures, students, and students' groups. It is essential to include some text commenting the photograph as it narrows down the number of the interpretations. To sum up, it is necessary to mention that some of these recommendations can be considered universal and used to build up the electronic communication with different target audiences of the university. However, it doesn't mean that culture code and its visualization are not important for cross-cultural internet communication. It is more likely that we can speak about the process of globalization of the university educational values. It is necessary to understand that such universal values as education, students' friendship, commitment to excellence, and etc., and others, can be of different importance for different cultures. That is why dealing with the universal content of the official site, university as communicator must give due consideration to the interpretative issues of verbal and non-verbal careless text messages in cross-cultural electronic communication and reckon with the addressee culture code. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Nastya, very, very much. Maybe someone has questions. You know, tomorrow we are going to start with very interesting presentations sent to us by our Chinese colleagues from Hong University, and we'll maybe compare what they believe are very important communications, because they are also open not only to international students but to Chinese students, to the internal audience, and what is not. So we'll see tomorrow. And that's my introduction of tomorrow's program. This is the beginning of it for our audience on the internet. Thank you very much. Thank you very much then.